So, to like put a formal introduction on things, welcome to the DIDIOTS podcast. Thank you for joining us. Um, Today we're gonna be mostly talking to y'all about like whatever y'all want to bring up. If we want to go into like inner worlds and fusions and stuff like that, that is something we thought about as well. Um, but it's just kind of open forum kind of thing. So, welcome.
Right on. I dig that. It's good to be nebulous about things sometimes. Um, but to pick up on one of the topics you talked about, let's talk about inner worlds.
Yeah, because those are freaking gnarly.
Inner
Right.
worlds are wild.
They
I
literally
find it
just.
like endlessly fascinating, how each one is unique and just like the vibe is different. What's yours like?
So ours is quite literally just a tower with a field and a forest. It's really small. But it's more of, especially like since that one live that we did where it was like you, me, and the wild system, and y'all were talking about how much control y'all had. We've been like taking more control and trying to do more things with it and trying to figure out how much control we can have over our inner world and things like that.
Right on, man. That's cool. I'm glad we were able to like kind of put you down that down that path. Like the literally like it's once you kind of get uh the that kind of like full connection to it,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's full creation. It's like lucid dreaming. It's the possibilities are endless. And what's really interesting to us is how like abstract like concepts like events that take place within the headspace can translate directly to like physical changes in the brain, and how uh, uh, something that exists in a metaphysical way can be anchored so directly in like physical reality. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like we've been trying to do different experiments with that concept, like if there's something that we're experiencing, like a symptom that's particularly troubling, like um I don't know, like maladaptive daydreaming or like intrusive thoughts, like we will basically almost like choreograph and like play out a circumstance in our headspace that we deliberately put like a bunch of like actual conscious focus and willpower into, and like it has lasting immediate effects on our conscious experience in like physical meat space. Um, and as far as we've like been able to explore, like there's really no limit, like there's no ceiling on it that we've
Mm-hmm.
encountered so far.
Yeah, like
Incredible.
something that we've um we've seen and experienced is like even influence with fusions is like trying to figure out like who goes better together rather than the brain just taking the most random alters and doing whatever. It's like we've been trying to like give our brain like, hey, these people want to fuse instead of like we're like trying to give our brain ideas instead of like just letting it do its own thing,
Yeah.
trying to influence it. And like my therapist is like, that is like one of the most, she's like, well, out of everything that the idea is, having such influence over the inner world is one of the things that makes the most sense.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, because if you don't have that as a foundation, the entire rest of your conscious experience is going to be turbulent, and uh, like unstable just in its very nature. Like,
So someone
that's like,
asked, how does one even find their inner world? Someone asked that in chat.
So
We just dissociated really hard one day and it was there.
yeah, actually, basically, I've got a similar answer.
I know when our system like first showed up, I was told that the inner world was just a black void. And then as more people started showing up, they're just like, no, there's like a castle in there and a city, and like it's not just a void. There is a void, but it's not just a void.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, basically, there's no like shortcut to it. It's something that you have to spend time actively searching for, if you don't already have that kind of connection with your inner self, so to speak. As like you've heard, like it's probably, I don't know how many times we've actually said it, but like using binaural beats to induce a trance state, like especially in the theta band, will put you in the perfect state of mind to start exploring inward, and kind of feeling things out. Just follow your intuition and your gut as you do so, and tread carefully until you feel like more confident in your presence there.
Because in a weird way, I relate it to astral projecting in a weird way. But like,
I think that's a good analogy for it.
But like, instead of going somewhere else, you're just going into your own brain.
Yeah.
But like, it, in a weird way, it feels like a similar experience to me anyway.
I would agree with you there. Ours feels very much the same way. To that end, like, what are some ways, like, are there any ways that you've like deliberately built your headspace and like for a specific purpose, and or like, are there any like large, I guess, monuments that symbolize anything in particular? Or is it kind of more like an amorphous, kind of nebulous sort of circumstance?
Ours is just kind of a place to be, and everyone has their own room. It's just like we mostly have influence over things that happen more than over the environment. Like, obviously, like, if we wanted to have influence over the environment, we could find a way. But we're just like fine with it existing how it is. But it's like we literally have like had to shove someone in a box and put them in a bubble in someone's room. Like, that is like the amount of influence like we've ended up being able to have is like, okay, well, this person does not need to exist right now, so we're just gonna shove them in a box.
Yeah, you hate to do it.
For later.
Yeah, we'll just put you in there, and it's fine. Everything's fine. And actually, in the moment, we actually thought of, we were like, how do we handle this situation? And someone was just like, yo, remember what Cosmic Meat Fam happened to Roxas? And so we were like, oh, we can just shove him in a box.
Yeah, I mean, it's a messy solution, but it works. Like, if you're in a pinch, like
we were in a pinch. We were just like, this person does not need to be in the headspace at this moment, and so we just, all of the protectors and even some of the persecutors were just like, we're gonna shove him in a box.
When that happened and Pax told me, I was like, oh, wait, a box? He just put him in a box.
Yeah, it was a weird experience.
Box, so.
Yeah, it's not like I just shoved him into a fucking cardboard box like you'd find in an alley. Like, oh yeah, he doesn't want to be around anymore, and we're all tired of his ass. So like, let's just shove him in here in this tiny space where he's got nothing. No, dude, I hooked them up. Kind of
And at least
monster,
our case, like in our case, it was more of like a persecutor type situation, and so we were like, he
Right.
did not need to be here. So like
Certainly.
we didn't need to. We didn't necessarily think of like amenities and stuff. We were just like, put this bitch in a box.
Hey man, sometimes that's all there is. That's all there is left. And there's nothing. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just circumstances being what they are.
Yeah, and I don't
Pax,
know.
by the way. Pax the wizard. Hello.
Hello. Who is fronting right now? I want to specify,
It's
but it's like I
mystery.
thought about it too quick. I'm pretty sure it's Cyan. It's just like it just happened too quick. I was just like, wait a minute.
Yeah, you can't think about it too fast. You can't think about it too hard.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's you skip right over it.
It sure is somebody for us. I'm pretty sure I'm Tia, but like, there's a mix of people up in the front at all times for us, so it's always hard to tell.
Yeah.
Right. That's interesting because for us, like when we first became self-aware, there were only three of us: myself, Ken, and Ace, and we would co-front almost all the time. But as time went on and our system has developed and we've processed more of our history and such, like dynamics have changed significantly, and there's only one person ever fronting at a time anymore.
Yeah.
And it's curious. Have you experienced a similar circumstance?
We did, yeah. When we first were finding people, there were, we found 6 of us over the course of a year, and then we would, like, sometimes it would be more than one person, and it would be, like, really fluid, and we would joke about, like, oh, you know how when you push too many pens down, like in a multicolored pen, you push too many colors down at the same time and nothing gets out to the front. That's kind of what was happening. That
Interesting. Yeah, three people trying to go through a doorway.
Yeah, it's too many people trying to fit through the doorway.
Yeah.
And like then there were sometimes where we were just completely blended. But then now that we're aware of so many people, it's just like, no, you have individual memories, individual experiences. You're not blending. You're not co-fronting. You're not. Nope. You are individual.
The lines are much more clearly defined, which is nice in a way because it helps for us. It's like we are all more secure in our individual identities because of that. Like we feel like we are all individual people more because of that circumstance. But on the downside, we've discovered that the amnesia barriers between us have also gotten a bit thicker as a result, as well as almost proportionally so, such that all of us collectively are much happier together living as we are, but we're quite a bit more debilitated because we don't fucking know what's going on anymore. Like half the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're just winging it non-stop, and there are just a host of things that like neurotypical people take for granted that we just don't have, and as like it's challenging, sure, but like it's like a weird kind of double-edged sword, where it's like the more we express ourselves individually and embrace multiplicity, the less capable we are of existing normally, fitting in properly to like a neurotypical based world, sort of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's just like it, and at the same time, it really sucks because like though this is a covert disorder and you can be covert about it, it's really difficult to do when you're self-aware.
Yeah.
Like all like masking and all that fun shit. But it's super weird because it's like like you said, like the more defined we are and the more individual we are, it's like the worse the memory gets, and it's just because it's the same thing for us. Is like the more individual we get and the more it's kind of like the more separate we get. It's because we all thought for the longest time that we were just one, so it was like all kind of working together like the perfect machine, and now that we're aware, it's just like the gears are stuck, you know? But and like going into like another thing with like fusions and stuff, like I don't know like if y'all have ever had any like influence on any fusions, or if your brain was just like, oh, here's a fusion, because we've had both experiences, because we're sitting at, what is it, 162 or 163, something like that, but like we would have like 30 more if we hadn't fused over the last few months. And a lot of them we've had influence over.
Sort of, but not really. Like, it's the fusing that has occurred between like the fragments and such. That was basically of their own volition.
Mm-hmm.
Like no specific one of us was like, you're gonna go over here and you're gonna be with this and that and the other.
Mm-hmm.
That'll happen. And then our only other experience with fusion really was with Roxas, and that was completely involuntary. We had no influence over that whatsoever.
Yeah, our first fusion we had no influence over. But then but it's like once it's the same thing about splitting. It's like once we learned how to do it, it just like was something that our brain could just do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it was fusing the wrong alters. It was fusing people who we still needed, and we were splitting as a result of that because people were gone and we needed them. And so we were just like, okay, well, we need to give the brain like ideas of who to like.
Right, I'm gonna take some control of that situation.
Ideas
Yeah.
of who to throw into the soup.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, basically the brain soup.
Yeah, like, okay, if it has to be done, well, let's do this one and this one instead. Yeah.
Yeah, the brain soup and the meat suit.
We've had, I think most of the people in our system are, because before the system was discovered, there was, I guess, an instant where a bunch of fragments had been sort of forcibly fused. And so there's kind of this fear amongst the system of like fusions and stuff. So we haven't had very many. But I know one that we did have is how like our brain interpreted the fusion was one alter eating the other.
Oh, that's delightful. That led to all sorts of just really pristine, just really crisp, enjoyable mental images, like
Just
high
swallow
definition,
the triangle manhole.
high definition.
It's bad that I
can't
know
un-
exactly who you're talking about. I know exactly what altar you're talking about. Sorry, that's beside the point. But yeah, like, and like we've had people like fuse almost immediately after like becoming self-aware, because they're just like, I don't want to be here. And so they're like,
Bye.
peace out, and so they find someone to fuse with and then are just fine. Because I feel like a lot of our people are actually fragments, but because like there are people that are a lot less of like a full person than other people, obviously. But it's like there are still definitely there's still definitely fragments and all that other fun stuff going on. But I just think, like...
Oh, go ahead. Do you think? Well,
Oh, you go ahead. You're good.
I was just going to ask, do you guys like have any specific questions for us in particular?
I can't think, because I mean, I'm trying to think for like podcast perspective, because I know more than the podcast probably does, just from interacting with y'all's content and stuff.
Right. Thank you for doing that.
Well, you guys are awesome. So.
Oh, well, thank you. You're awesome.
Oh, thanks. But you guys said you guys were sitting like just under 100. You said.
Yeah. Give or take. I don't know. We stopped keeping track.
We knew we were over 100, but then we just stopped counting, and I don't know where we are. We've never made an official... We started making a list, but then once we got to like 35, we stopped writing them down.
Right, and like some of them have gone dormant, some of them...
That's like the exact opposite of us. It's like the exact opposite of us. Is like we have to write everybody down. It's just... Because, like, we have... Hold on, if my cat will...
I really like how you guys have, like, the back of your journal, how everybody signs their signature. That was, like, my favorite part.
Oh, really? That sounds really cool. Let me see.
Oh, yeah. We're trying to... Actually, let me... This one was one we were supposed to send the A system, but, like, the thing got, like, destroyed. So we're gonna get a different one to send up to them. But we had a lot of people sign... We had a lot of people sign this one. A lot of these people have actually fused out.
Cool.
But we have, like... We have a binder with information sheets for, like, almost every... Like, for almost everyone. It's just because...
That's so cool.
Just for out of convenience sake. Like... Everyone with green has an information sheet. Everyone who's pink has been fused out. And then the other side of that paper, but...
See, that looks like it would be worth putting the effort into making, but I don't know if I have enough free time or spoons to, like, actually start putting all that together. Like...
This has been progressive from, like, the moment we've... Because, like, that's something is, like, if we have control over one thing, at least we'll be okay. And so, like, literally we tried doing spreadsheets. We have Simply Plural. We have, if my cat will stop trying to climb on the desk, like, all that fun stuff. And, like, we're trying to get people to sign, like, this journal, but, like, not a lot of people have signed that one. Actually, three of the 5 people who have signed this have fused. So...
Isn't that always fun?
But... It's just really weird. 'Cause, like, basically once our brains knew how to fuse, it just, like, kept doing it, and then it was just doing it to the wrong people. It was
we're all kind of anxious. They're like, we'll wake up one morning and just be someone else.
Yeah.
There will be fewer of us and someone new altogether. Because, I mean, that's already happened, right? So, like...
Yeah, we completely get that. It like, for us, with being as many alters as we are, like, we know fusing is progress, but, like, it's still, like, a terrifying thought for some of us, and that's why some of us are, like, trying to...
It still represents a pretty significant change in the status quo. Like, yeah. It's an unsettling prospect. Which is why I don't typically like to think about it. I try not to anyway.
That's
But like
completely fair.
every week my therapist asks, "What's your anxiety on a 1 to 10?" There's never one.
I felt that. I felt
Yeah.
that on a spiritual level. But I don't even know what I was gonna say. You ever just get a thought and then I don't know if it's a gatekeeper or whatnot, but regardless, you just get a thought and then suddenly it's just yoinked.
Oh, all the time.
And I'm just like,
All
I
the
would like to talk. Thanks.
What was it?
I would love to talk and make a coherent sentence, but
What was it you said the other day about? Because I asked you like, how many times do you reckon we've had to stop talking about something because we both just blanked and forgot what we were talking about?
Yeah, I told them that the fact that they've asked me that question a lot more times than I can count probably says something about how many times they can actually do that.
Yeah.
I completely felt that. So you got diagnosed after y'all were together, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Oh,
Because I
we
didn't.
got together in 2013 and we found out last year.
Okay. Because I know Galaxius and we both have the experience of like living alone and being systems on our own, so I didn't know like that's like an experience that like
Yeah, we don't know what that's like.
Well, we had people around us when we were discovering the system, but they ended up not believing us at all,
Oof.
which that can be
See?
a really rough experience. But now we're completely on our own. So
Yeah.
Luckily,
man.
yeah.
I don't understand humans.
Luckily, like our family is pretty chill about it. We don't completely unmask around them, but like that's why we do our internet stuff and completely unmask on the internet, which is something that fake claimers don't understand. Is like, oh, how can people be open on the internet about this disorder? When it's like, it's because it's the only place we're allowed to. And
Yeah.
like fake claimers really just don't get it.
Nobody wants to hear about it at Thanksgiving. So like,
yeah. Just like my siblings thought about getting us name tags for Thanksgiving and just switching them. I was like, there's too many people. There's too many people.
yeah, we've got some name tags that we use for live, and it's like a whole big stack of them. And it's not even everybody; it's just the people that have been on live. I think we have like 50 out of the 260 plus we have.
You guys should get an electric one.
Yeah, they make digital ones now.
Oh,
There's like an app on your phone and you can type in what name you want. And we got one when we went to an outpatient program nearby, so that they could tell who.
Putting that in my notes.
It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, like $20.
Oh, it's on Amazon.
Yeah, just look up electronic name tag.
Or like digital name tag, yeah.
I am looking this up as we speak.
I know. We thought about that because I think we were watching like the A system one time and seeing how many name tags they switch in and out. And we're like, there's got to be an easier way.
There's got to be a better way. Does this ever happen to you?
Is it just like the Bluetooth one?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's only like $20. That's not bad either.
Yeah.
Right?
Comes in different colors.
That's awesome. I'm putting that on our wish list.
I was going to say, Amazon wishlist that bad boy.
Look at me go, changing like one name tag at a time.
Cat.
Oh my gosh, we have one of the same blankets.
This is one of
Wait,
my
what?
favorite blankets. I love the texture on it.
I did say one in the. That's
It's a
delightful.
different color, but it's kind of like the same pattern.
But
I don't know how, but those blankets make uncomfortable fabric feel good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It is weird, but it's warm.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mhm.
fuzzy at all.
One of my favorite types of blankets are the ones that like have the image on one side and then have like the weird like negative image on the other side.
I love those.
But like those are one of my favorite blankets. I just like love them. They're really comfortable, but like it's just really funny how it just has like the negative image on the other side. But
You know you're old. You can't help but make funny noises when you get up.
oh, I already do that, and I'm only 21.
Yeah,
Right?
25 here, and I do that.
I'm gonna be 30 this year.
Do y'all have any questions for us either? Because I know, like, because there's, like, obviously there are some differences between our systems just from, like, a generational standpoint, from, like, the different, interjects and stuff that we've seen. Like, we've seen, like, those differences. But, like, because, like, we have different, like, from their, like, the media that they split from versus the media we split from. We're just like, yeah, we can tell that there's the generational gap here. Because we're
Yeah.
leaning more Gen Z, and you guys lean more millennial.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely.
Pretty hard.
We're in that weird middle area between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, like we grew up with like Advice Dog and Power Thirst and Charlie the Unicorn, and they've got like I don't even know what kids are watching these days. Lanky Box, I guess.
Huggy Wuggy.
Huggy Wuggy and shit. Oh my
We've got
god.
an Elmo fictive. We've got a Teletubby.
Yeah.
It's okay. We have Blue from Blue's Clues and Dora, so
Same.
it's you gotta love kids splitting from kids media.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. We don't have any alters from like young kids stuff. Unless you count like Curious George, I guess.
You have Curious George?
Yeah. Most of my alters are from like I don't know, stuff that I experienced. We experienced when we were like I don't know, 8-ish plus.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dragon Ball Z, Homestar Runner, Invader Zim.
Well, like, we'll fully admit that we watched a lot of, like, the young kid stuff well until we were, like, 10 or 12.
There's no shame in that.
And we also, like, have a bunch of Twilight fictives from when we were, like, from when it first came out, because that was, like, the height of our trauma. It was, like, that period of time. And so we literally have 7 Twilight fictives.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, so, like, I love how, like, if people on the internet want to talk about cringy, just come here.
Right?
Do you guys read a lot? Do you guys get a lot of fictives from books? I know
We do.
they get a lot of fictives from the books that they read. They read a lot.
We used to. We haven't found any, but there's this. I just want to go into the story. I think you know this story, Galaxius, about there is this book that's now on my Amazon wish list, but it's literally basically a DID allegory, and we don't know what happened to the book, and I am convinced that an alter got rid of it because we would have found out too early. Because we were reading this book in high school, and it was literally you were born as 2 people in one body, and you would integrate, and then these people didn't integrate. And so we were just like, oh, this is a really cool, like, concept for a book. And we could, like, not even
Exactly.
thinking, you know, not even thinking this is, you know, a DID allegory. And because we were in high school. And then we got like 3 chapters in and then the book disappeared. And so we're sitting here like, gatekeepers, you need
Like,
to tell
who
us
done did it?
who done did
That's
it.
pretty tough, man. Yeah.
It's like, which one of you, because it wasn't in our house, it wasn't anywhere at school, we couldn't find it.
Threw it in the river like Jim Carrey and the Mask.
But it's like, I feel like they just were like, no, you would have found out too early, and then just yeeted it.
That is one of my
Maybe
favorite
that's
new
why you-
words.
What?
Yeet.
Yeet.
That is delightful.
I think we're kind of late to that word, but yeah.
Oh,
Doesn't matter.
it's funny when
Look, man, I'm 30. If I could manage to hang on to any slang that children use, I'm a goddamn champion. Okay, so step up.
it's funny because when Galaxius and I are just talking in voice chat, if there's like a little close to the front or something, we just say yeet the child, just like we have to yeet the child.
Yeah.
That's my favorite game, Yeeting the Child.
That always made me think. See, that's how you can tell I'm old. Is that makes me think of when I was younger and they had South Park, and Kyle would always kick his little brother. He'd be like, "Kick the baby," and that's what. And that we have kick the baby. You've got yeet the child.
We have an Eric Cartman fictive.
Nothing ever changes. Nothing ever really changes. It's all the same. They just use different words.
We have an Eric Cartman fictive. It's just
saying. It just needs to be said. Kyle's Mom's a Bitch is one of the best songs that's ever been written ever.
yes. I used to know every word.
They do.
We know most of it. Yeah. We just watched somebody do a Beat Saber video to that song. That was
Yeah, I've seen that.
It came across our For You page as well.
That was delightful.
It
That was
was-
quite delicious.
Quite delicious.
God, yeah, it's so great. Like our 7-year-old, one of her favorite shows is Uncle Grandpa. I don't know if you've ever seen that show,
Love it.
but basically the whole premise of that show is being weird is awesome, and
Gotta love it.
like, yeah.
That's
I
fantastic.
can't get it. I couldn't get her to stop watching it if I tried. Not that I want her to stop. I'm all about that whole concept. But yeah,
That is awesome.
I mean, I've seen the Uncle Grandpa crossover with Steven Universe, and that was...
Yeah.
that is one of the best episodes of Steven Universe. I don't care who you are. If you don't think so, you can fight me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually like we were gonna ask earlier when we were talking about putting putting Jigsaw in a box. We were gonna ask if you guys had seen Steven Universe because one of our fictives is Amethyst, and she actually put him in a bubble, and he is in her room.
Oh yeah. What are you laughing at? He just lost it over something. He said it's something really stupid.
Wait,
and that's where
is it a puzzle joke? Because I think
No.
putting Jigsaw in a box lines up for a puzzle
No.
joke.
No, it's way more stupid.
Please say it.
Please.
This is the DIDIOTS podcast. This is what we are here for.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You were like. You were like, yeah, so we were talking about pudding, and then you trailed off, and I'm like, why are you talking about pudding? I told you it was stupid.
But that's okay. There is no such thing as a dumb joke here.
we love Steven Universe though. Like
God, we've seen the whole thing.
our kids know all the soundtracks. Like
Yeah, we sing along to it in the car together. It's great.
It's such a
I'm
wholesome
crying.
show.
Oh my god.
We have watched every episode.
I still cry whenever we listen to It's Over, Isn't It? It just feels, the feels in that song.
We
It's
actually
just
sang that song to get into a choir, and we actually got the top audition for that song. And
Hey.
that's before we started testosterone and could sing in that register. But now we can't sing that song, but we used to be able to. It was one of our favorite songs. That one and Just a Thought.
Yeah.
That one was...
Make me cry too. What am I supposed to do? I haven't done makeup in so long. I'm crying. I need to dry my face and my eyes.
I got you, boo-boo.
Do I just ignore the burning?
Oh yeah, you just ignore the burning and then more water will come.
Wearing
Beauty is
makeup
pain.
hard.
What was I gonna say? What's that one song that we listen to whenever we're like upset and we play it for each other?
I've no idea. Here Comes a Thought. That's the one.
That was the one that he mentioned. Something mentioned.
Yeah.
We play that song whenever we need to like.
Yeah, like if we're
It's a
almost
really
triggered
calming
or
song,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. Listen to the song, cry for a little bit, then everything's fine.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bits in Steven Universe is like about that show they've got in the show called Crying Vegetable Friends. And Amethyst is like, who would want to watch a show about cartoons crying when Steven Universe is a cartoon is full of people crying?
It is so emotional. It is.
Yeah.
It is supposed to
I've
be a
never
children's
seen so
show,
many-
but I am so
Never seen
invested.
animated tears, and I watch anime.
Oh yeah, we
It's
We
haven't.
have a lot of anime fictives.
We have a couple.
Damn it! Shouldn't have done that.
We have a couple anime fictives.
I've ruined it, haven't I?
Go like this and go up.
Go up.
Yep. No.
That's a little better.
No, do it with another finger. A clean one.
It's too bad they can't catch this one on camera.
No, they can't see.
They can't see me. I'm like
He's in
John.
his middle finger.
I'm like John
a
Cena.
goofball.
Like a goofball. Excuse me. That happens to be my most dexterous finger. Thank you. It's my favourite appendage. And I won't tolerate any bad mouthing of my phalanges. Thank you very much.
Okay. What am I supposed to say to that?
Oh, so I did have a question. This is not related to anything we've talked about yet.
I love a good non sequitur.
But what is it like raising kids with DID? Is it hard to like maintain one direction with the kid?
Short answer, it's hard. Long answer, it's hard.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So the thing is we all are fortunate enough to have good enough communication that we can all agree on how to raise our children.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to worry about like one particular altar be like, well, I'm going to spank the kids because that's how you do it, and the rest of us are like, no, we are gentle parenting. Like everyone's on board with that sort of thing. So fortunately, that is not something we have to deal with. Sometimes when we have the presence of mind, we can switch. That is to say, like, whoever's fronting can step back, like, I can't fucking deal with this anymore, and somebody else can step in. Typically, in that circumstance, it'd be Roy. And so that is nice. That does come in handy. Um, there are times where we get triggered by the stress of being a parent, and sometimes it gets messy. Sometimes I make mistakes. We're human. We are a human, unfortunately. Um,
Felt that.
and and as much as we try to step away from the circumstances that we were raised in, sometimes that situation influences our our decisions, especially in heated moments. Um, I don't hit my kids, of course. I might shout and that we genuinely feel terrible about. But like it's a challenge. It's I mean, we most of our content is jokes, and we prefer to use humor and laughter as a coping mechanism for the things that the big things that we have to deal with. But like the day-to-day stuff, the fucking 3-year-old gets up out of her room for the 5th time, and you've been trying to do it for like 2 hours,
It's 11 o'clock.
and it's 11 o'clock at night. Like, I think under the best circumstances, like even a neurotypical person would have difficulty with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like,
But there's been different struggles too with like maybe newer alters fronting and me being away at work and them not knowing that they needed to go out on time to go get the kids from the bus stop.
yeah, that happened.
Or I mean, luckily they gave me a call and I was able to call them and they were able to figure out. They were kind of like, okay, where's the bus stop at? Where do I go? And kind of walked them through it in order to like get things worked out. And there'll be times where like one of our kids will ask daddy for something and then like a minute goes by as they were trying to do that task for them, but then they switch and then they got busy doing something else because they didn't know that they were in the middle of doing something. And then the kids will be like, hey, I asked you for this. Are you going to get it for me? And, but like our oldest is pretty cool with knowing and understanding like what's going on, that we can just be like, oh, hey, sorry. Like they'll just tell her that we switched and we kind of forgot that that's what we were doing. And it definitely helps that we're very open with our kids about it. Our youngest can't obviously comprehend yet, but our oldest definitely understands a lot.
That's good.
We've also like raised them to definitely be open and honest with us. So if they ever have any issues with anything, they tell us.
Yeah.
And Zoe has been open and honest about several things with how she feels about things. And
as far as we can tell, she's quite thrilled actually to have more than one dad.
She is. She thinks she's a special little kid who has tons of daddies.
Yeah, and she knows that regardless of who's fronting, like they're gonna take care of her.
Yeah.
And like whether it's a person who represents like a father figure or like an older sibling or cousin or something like that. It's got its ups and downs. Like parenting just by itself, like is
yeah, parenting by itself is complicated.
It's a fucking nightmare. Like is what I was gonna say.
Fair enough.
You guys can probably understand too. Some days you probably guys like wake up and you don't have any spoons for the day, and like we still got 2 beans that we have to take care of. And you got no spoons, and and the day runs until 11 o'clock till they go to bed.
It's an incredible experience, though. Like creating a life and raising it and cultivating it, and like it's an experience like no other. Unfortunately, circumstances in our country being what they are, it's
way harder than it has to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And like that is it's kind of like it's like there's a feedback loop involved, because it's so difficult to just be alive in this country right now. It becomes more difficult to handle, or like having kids, or raising them properly with patience and kindness and compassion, which in turn makes the kids more difficult to deal with, and it just keeps kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing that I'll tell our therapist is like, like 90% of the issues that we're struggling with right now are because we're broke. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
We've
Yeah,
felt that.
it's like that.
like the depression, the anxiety, the feelings of dread, the general apathy about the future prospects. Like, a lot of that has to do with the economy, mate. Like,
Yeah,
and
and there's
no
not much
amount,
that a therapist can do, about that
yeah,
besides
no
give
amount of how
us.
does that make you feel helps
Yeah.
pay the electricity bill.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
And so, like, it's
I can
parenting is hard. Doing it as a neurodivergent person in any capacity is significantly more difficult,
Hmm.
especially if you're like trying to do the right thing. If you're trying to do a good job, I guess that is what makes it really hard. Because I guess inherently myself, just having kids doesn't mean you have to suffer through doing it properly.
right.
Mom and dad.
Right.
Mood?
But yeah, I
Yeah.
could genuinely say that if we had known how hard parenting was and had we known about the DID before we had kids, it definitely would have been easier to not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have them, we love them, and we're going to do the best we can since we have them.
Fair
But there
enough.
definitely will not be any more babies because this is enough.
Yeah, no.
The oven is closed.
That's completely fair. Like,
And I
we
mean,
don't
it's
have.
like one of those. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, we don't have kids, but we have a lot of nieces and nephews, and so like we get the whole not wanting more thing, because like I love my sister, but please no more. I'm kidding.
I just, I could go on a whole tirade about that, honestly. Like, it stops being fair to your kids. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
I mean, we have enough going on.
I don't
Financially, I don't.
just,
It would just be so much harder.
I
Like,
don't understand
Oh,
humans.
absolutely.
Can't afford to pay rent, but we're gonna have another 3 kids.
right?
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen?
That's why I am adopting my children and not
Good for you.
and
Thank
not
you for
having
doing that.
kids. It's because I can choose when I get a kid.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yep, we didn't exactly choose.
Nope.
I have 2 cats. That's enough kids for now.
Oh yeah, I have 4 cats. I have enough to deal with.
We lived together in my mom's house for a year, and then we moved into our first apartment. And my mom was like, I give you guys 6 months until you're pregnant. I was like, wow, Mom, thanks a lot. And then
It was like 2 weeks later.
No, it wasn't. It was 3 months actually. And I called her, and the first thing I said was, well, Mom, you're wrong. It wasn't 6 months. It was only 3 months. I'm pregnant. So I was mad at her, but I guess she wasn't wrong.
All right. Well, is there any like closing thoughts from anybody that we want to like end on? And
parting thoughts. To everyone who's listening, don't panic. Breathe deep. Meditate frequently. And wear sunscreen.
Fair enough. I also just want to say, like, systems, you have more control than you think you do.
That's right.
Mhm.
You're Neo. You can be Neo in the Matrix. I swear to God, it's a stupid, cliche analogy, but I swear to God, that's what it's really like. Okay, sorry.
For real. You're right, though. Like, you can do anything in... Like, you can do anything that you're... Like, it's a brain disorder. Your brain can do weird shit. So...
You just have to believe.
Yep.
Brains are weird and you can make them do your bidding.
I'd like to an extent, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. It's been delightful talking with you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for
It's
joining
always
us.
nice to have. It's always nice to have somebody to listen to us pontificate about things.
Word.